All right. Looks like everybody has found their way. So let's go ahead and get started. Looking at the agenda, looks like it's just going to be the normal updates today. For the first update, it'll be 5G update. Sanjay on or Yogesh or anyone will do that update.
Yeah, I think moving forward, Sanjay will not be probably attending this meeting.
Okay.
Suresh, do you want to give the update since you basically work out the schedule for next couple of weeks? Maybe people want to hear about that.
Yes, Suresh and I were in the wrong meeting ID. It just should be joining soon.
Yeah. Ulas, my apologies. I lost a portion of your voice. I just was joining when you called, when you were telling about. Can you please repeat?
Oh, I was telling you, do you want to, go over the items that the team is going to work on next couple of weeks on the 5G side?
Yeah, sure, Ulas. Wavelab's team took over the 5G control plane related work from ACL team. And there are a couple of PRs that are yet to be landed. So currently we have prepared a package out of the 5G branch and these PRs. And we are testing the procedures. Registration and deregistration are working fine. And there is one bug we found in the NGAP related to the PDU session establishment. The bug was introduced purely because the ASN compiler is compatible with version 16, whereas the associated NGAP asn.c file was created out of version 15.8, and there is a couple of enums that got jumbled for which one of the messages on the downlink that are to go through NGAP are having an issue. So that is causing the PD session establishment to fail. So this is an issue we are looking to fix on the 5G branch. In addition to that, we also have targeted few of the issues that are found out on the system test in the TIP labs, and prioritizing those issues along with the PD session establishment issue. And the plan is to stabilize the registration and session management procedures by end of this month, and prepare a package out of that for the lab trials. And subsequently, in the first week of June, we are targeting to fix some of the leftover issues on the 5G branch, and target to move the code to master branch as soon as possible for the control plane work. And the UPF work related to the MVC part of the 5G code is pretty much landed on the master branch. And today or yesterday, I think, even the paging feature also is landed on the master branch related to UPF. So that's the update, Ulas, from outside.
All right, thank you, Suresh. Are there any questions for the team?
Sorry, I was on the wrong Zoom and everything. So one question maybe, Ulash, for us is, do you know what the status with TerraVM is, or we need to dig into that?
So I will have a meeting with Gosh today. I think he's scheduled a weekly meeting for both SA and NSA support.
Perfect.
So yeah, we will try to follow it closely. On the NJP side also, Vinay from our Redis team basically He's basically doing daily tests, basically, and giving us basically reports based on the 5G of the 5G branch and on the available PRs raised over that branch. So that activity is also going as a as a parallel track. So on the SIT side, I guess the team has an ask that we need to communicate with Rajesh. They want a good amount of time that is overlapping between the TipLab folks and the Wavelabs team, so that they can do a sit down and test together for a fair amount of time, and have a basically faster turnaround time on the SIT testing.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, but there is maybe a dangling action item on there. Basically, I guess this is communicated to Shanaz, but I will also send a message to Rajesh basically and forward Suresh's request.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Anything else on 5G? Okay, great. Thank you, Suresh and Ulas.
And by the way, I mean, the 5G branch is of course visible to everyone. So if anyone wants to inspect the code and give comments, you are more than welcome.
Great. So next we have DevOps update. I don't see Tariq on the call, and I know there wasn't a meeting this week. We have decided to make those every other week, starting next week. So if I updated on the public calendar, but if it doesn't reflect that on your personal calendar, I would just go back into the public calendar and re-add it to your personal calendar. And but let me know if you have any issues with that. But are there any other DevOps updates that anyone would like to address on this call?
From my side, I can say I've been assigned to create a local Magma environment for kind Kubernetes clusters. So I've created a small video and shared on the dev channel if anyone is interested in that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, thanks for doing that. Kendall, maybe we should follow up if the, if we can make that video like available in a, like maybe either through our GitHub Docusaurus or something if Shubham is open to it. And so that way, it's not just in Slack.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion, the code which I'm using in the video is not on the master branch, it's on my own branch. So yeah, we can, once that is merged, I would like to create a better video, but yeah, we can still use that video as a pre-build or something like that.
Okay, and we could also add that video to the Magma Foundation YouTube channel, so then it's easy for everyone to find, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So once that's ready, send that over to me and I can make that happen.
Sure.
Okay.
Did anyone give a DevOps update?
All right, doesn't sound like there's any other DevOps updates.
Is anyone give another DevOps update?
Didn't sound like it.
I've completed an image for Marketplace and I'm doing more testing. I believe that Arun will have a update soon.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, then we'll move on to the last agenda item, which is with Ekow, 1.6 release plans and outlook.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm going to share my screen to get this part of the call started. Great. So over the last couple of quarters, we've been pulling, trying to get our roadmaps made available publicly, especially to the community. And this quarter, we're trying something a little bit different. So over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to walk you through how you can access the publicly available Magma roadmap that covers the work that is planned for the remainder of the half. There are plans to expand this beyond this half to cover other planned releases. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to focus on what is to be expected for the planned 1.6 release. So I'm starting from like the real basics here. So ZenHub is a public service that is available to everyone. All you really need is a GitHub account. So because I'm already logged in, when I tap on login here, SSO will get me in automatically. And there's what you see. So I'm going to start from the top level Magma space, and you can do that by tapping on this select drop-down list here and then hitting the Magma top level workspace. And when you switch over to the roadmap view, there is this really nice high-level aggregation of the different work streams that are ongoing, and I'll briefly touch on all of them. So for the next release, we have work planned for DevOps, improvement for the platform covering stability and performance. We have work planned for the Magma platform, which is orchestrated in the NMS, the 5G work that some of whose updates were shared by Ulash and Suresh in the last couple of minutes. Then we have a growing number of community-sponsored features as well as partner features. I'll talk about that too briefly in a bit. And then last but not the least, we have the hybrid cloud edge initiatives. So this is, like I said, a high-level aggregation, and this is the view that you get when you access the top-level board. To get into the specific workspaces for each of these work streams, all you need to do is to click on this select list here again, and you realize that there are dedicated workspaces for all of them, just like it's laid out here. So I'm going to briefly touch on all of them just to give everyone an idea of the work that is planned. So first I'm going to start with is the stability and performance. Okay, in fact, let me go in the order that I presented. So I'm going to start with the DevOps work. So all you do is click on the DevOps link here. It switches to that workspace, and you have a more detailed view covering everything that is planned. But for the purposes of 1.6, I'm going to focus on this section here, which is a project titled Release, talking about SIT to CI infra. So some of the work planned include hooking up the Ubuntu gateway to Ubuntu gateway build to CI. There's an epic for that. Then, as most of you are aware, shared in previous updates, there is an effort to move our CI to GitHub Actions, and there's an epic with all the details contained in here. 5G support for CI, so it's another epic. Then with all these major changes underway, there is a planned documentation effort to really bring clarity to some of the CI integrations that we have, and then how they work, and everything that's relevant. There's also some migration to the Linux Foundation Jenkins. And an important one here is hooking up CI to some of our regression testing systems, one of which is TerraVM and the other Spirent. So there's a lot more detail if you get onto this workspace and you click on each of these epics. So for example, when I click on this one, there's a lot more detail. It's all cascaded in, so you will see exactly what is planned, some idea of estimates, who is working on it. So if you need to reach out to learn more, all that information is here. So this is mostly it for DevOps. So moving on back to my top level view here. I'm just trying to go in this order. So next is stability and performance. And I think Ulash, Praveen, y'all on the call. So if you want to chime in too, that would be great. So again, I come in here, I switch to stability and performance. I go onto the roadmap view and I see everything that is planned. So I'll just quickly touch on the epics here very briefly. So a majority of the work is on the core services of the gate. You're talking about the mobility D service, session D service, the MME service, the pipeline D service. So maybe why did I do this? If Ulash, you want to briefly talk about some of the planned work, just to provide maybe a level more detail for the audience here, very briefly.
Yeah, I mean, on the stability and performance side, really, we are talking about the scale testing and trying to resolve issues, that arise at scale. The problems raised in each of these services are known issues, identified issues when we did testing with, let's say, around 600 UEs on a 4-core machine with 4G memory with 10 UE per second attach rates, at that scale basically. Each of these services have some known performance issues. Just to exemplify the MME side, since we turned the stateless feature on starting version 1.4, we do a lot of state synchronization with the backend, and for example, serialization, deserialization performance for the data structures we have create some hotspots in the processing. And the S1 AP task, for example, that is, in the critical path for all the RAN bound messages as well as the MME access gateway bound messages. Is actually the one module, for example, that suffers a lot. So we did a lot of, thanks to Tarek, visibility about heat maps about where the processing is happening. So what we are doing is on the tooling side, we are trying to measure the latency of the packets between the threads, document those. On the serialization, deserialization, we are going to work on improving the performance of those and maybe eliminate some intermediate data structures and also reduce the frequency of synchronization to the backend basically by eliminating the unnecessary synchronization calls. And similar efforts will be happening on the other services. Mobility D service, for example, has known issues with the DHCP based address allocation. So I guess some parallelization and multi-threading will be introduced there. On session D side, although there is an item there, I don't think there is much to be done, frankly. We haven't observed too much, or we haven't observed a bottleneck due to session D yet. Pipeline D, our Python services basically need some lift up. Praveen and Nick will be spending a lot of time in terms of identifying the bottlenecks and speeding up the event handlers, particularly the stats collection from the OBS layer. So there's some work to be done on that front. So that is pretty much of it, actually. I mean, if you guys, I don't know if this board is visible to everyone, Ekow.
Yeah. So I did check, and again, everyone here can let me know. So all you have to do is sign into ZenHub with your GitHub account. I'll post the link to the top level workspace on this call as well as on Slack. And if anyone has challenges, just ping me and I'll be able to assist. But I know for certain that all you need is your GitHub account, and you should be able to access all of this publicly.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we should try to do, I guess, is also for when people are raising issues on the GitHub, we need to make sure that they are somehow reflected on this board as well, and either in the backlog or in the actual active sprints, basically, they need to factored in, because if they are not captured here, I guess there is no work happening on that front, no?
Yes, exactly. So I think maybe we can talk about this a little bit more after I talk to the rest of the work stream, but there is some work to do to properly tie in issues that come in to some of the ongoing work in a way that gives the people who created those issues an idea of who is taking them on, and when the work that is required to get them close is done. Yeah.
So if Joy is on the call, Joy, not on this board, but on the partner asks, I think on that board, I added the issues that you created about Pixel 4 and iPhone 12, so that we don't drop the ball on that and focus on that as an issue.
Okay. So thanks very much, Ulash. So again, for every project or epic, once you access it, you can click at and get into the different layers as detailed as you want, and you can have an idea of who is working on things, and if you want to reach out, who exactly to reach out to. So moving on, talk briefly about the planned work for the platform covering orchestrated NMS. And I'll come back here, click on platform. And there's essentially 3 primary epics planned covering the APN refactoring work, NMS test framework, and then the orchestrator test framework. Again, for every one of them, if you click through, there is a lower level of detail that you can get access to. The next board is the 5G work, which Ulash has been helping drive with support from Wavelab and OEI, depending on if it's SE or NSE. And for that, we have different boards. So there's a 5G NSE board, and there's a 5G SE board. Maybe I'll quickly flash them up so everyone can see what the work is like. So the NSE work is mostly productionization, but the SE work has a lot more detail covering the different services and then interfaces that the team plans to work on for the rest of the quarter. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that since Ulash and team provide regular updates to this forum. But again, it's available if anyone wants to get a little bit more detail on a day-to-day basis. Where I want to spend some time is maybe the community and partner features as well as hybrid cloud air. So I'll start with the community and partner features. So again, there's a board or a workspace. So when I hit the partner and community features, the first thing I want to call out here is there are two important work that is ongoing that is not necessarily reflected here. The first one is the domain proxy work that Freedom Fire team, Joey and team are working on. There is a workspace for that as well. And let me see if I can bring that up very quickly. So yes, so when I switch repos, there is a domain proxy. There's a domain proxy workspace that is currently ongoing. There is a lot of detail here. I don't know if for the purpose of this call, Joe, you want to briefly talk about this work and maybe give the audience an idea of where things are at and where things are going.
Sure. We have gone through a design process and review, and we have a design document that is in the repo. It's in the proposal section, and there are issues created where the discussion happened. There are like 4 core functions. That's client interface, a CBSD proxy interface, the configuration controller, and then the gluing of all of it together. Arthur is here from our team. If I'm murdering this, please step in. Yeah, we have ZenHub tracking for the work going on for each of the main components. So anyone can see what the plan is for the next sprint and the status of work.
Right. Yep. So yeah, thanks so much, Joey. So there is that workspace, and the Freedom Fight team does a great job keeping the epics and the progress on their boards up to date. So once you have access to ZenHub, you can keep up with this progress. Going back to some of the other work on the partner community features. So there is a planned work, mostly planning and design for some C++ code migration, then NB-IoT support design as well. Some of the work that the Facebook team is taking on include things like completing some of the remainder of the work for the Intra S1 AGW mobility that was part of the 1.5 release. There is a planned work to design the architecture for what an Inter S1 AGW mobility support for Magma would look like. We started some work to support emergency attach services. We are planning to complete that work and make it ready for production use in 1.6. Inbound roaming is another major feature that was part of 1.5. There is still some productionization type work needed to completely close up this epic. That work will continue in this quarter. The last one is the service area restriction, which is another restriction side feature to even enhance Magma's network restriction capabilities, in addition to what we have for PLMN and then INEI. So all this work is ongoing. And again, for every one of them, if you click through the epics, there is a great amount of detail talking about exactly what is planned, who's doing what work, some of the story point estimates, and when exactly the work is supposed to be completed. Great, so looks like going back to my original. So as you can see, I've been shuffling between the top level, which is like super aggregated view, and then the independent workspaces where you have a more detailed view. So I've gone through all this stack. The last one is hybrid cloud edge. I see that Arun is online on the call, so I will just show the board and maybe have Arun talk through it, because I love listening to him talk through some of the wonderful things that he has planned. So Arun, if you can just give an overview of what you plan for the team. Yeah.
Sure thing. So there are 4 key themes that we are pursuing. One is, the first one is getting Magma on the AWS marketplace. So right now we have a target of June 15th, where we are trying to get 1.5, which already has Ubuntu available from the marketplace, so that partners, whoever wants to integrate on their own, can go ahead and consume. So that's the first work stream that you see. and all the work around the automation and the DevOps tool chain is what is on track for that. Internally, as you saw in the platform work stream, we are trying to use the same marketplace base to create like an internal test framework, and hopefully that can be used by the community as well. We want to provide an automated way to like stand up an environment, do various kinds of tests. So that's the second theme you see. The third one listed as gateways at the edge cloud, that's the containerization and Kubernetes-based management of the AGWs, which is currently a proposal. So we are starting to roll it out phase by phase. And the first phase would be to containerize the AGWs. There is seemingly significant interest in the community as well. We've had a number of folks ask, would Magma run on containers? So we want the first phase to show the AGWs as containers so that, at least that question is clearly addressed, and then roll it into a Kubernetes packaged form factor. So that will come hopefully in the next release. And I'll continue to update the proposal with like a follow-up design spec so that folks can follow what's going on this work stream. The last one is directly tied to the GA requirements that we have that we're expected to meet for 1.6. So again, the list speaks for itself. How do we ensure 3 nines availability for the orchestrator to provision users? So looking at different issues that are already listed, and I've clubbed them together, specifically the search manager issue that folks from the community are actually helping with, and some database related PRs that are included. The second part is the access gateway deployment for 1.6 itself, where we want to reduce the amount of time required to deploy the access gateway. How do we make it one click? Right now, tying it to the marketplace effort, we are focusing on some devices where choosing an image is practically just one click. So all those PRs go under that epic. The third is installation of the orchestrator. How do we reduce it to less than 60 minutes? And again, I'm tying it back to whatever we are pushing in a marketplace. That's one way to do it, where deployment of orchestrator is really simplified. So those are the 4 key themes that we are pursuing as part of this work stream. Any questions? Okay, I'll pass it back to Ekow. Thank you, Ekow.
Right. Thank you so much, Arun. So yeah, so this is really everything. So again, just to recap, the top level Magma workspace has a super aggregated view of the work that is being done across the different work streams. There are 6 of them. And if you want to get into the details, you can click through here. But again, this view only gives you the summarized version. If you want the detailed view, all you need to do is to click on this jump down link here and then switch over to the workspace of interest. So yeah, this is mostly the work that is planned. We are very excited. And as we continue to evolve the product, we are looking to push more of this development plans and everything else to the open, so we can get feedback as well as get more people contributing and developing for Magma. So yep, so I think that's mostly the end of my presentation. I was hoping I gave a good enough overview of ZenHub as well as the work that is ongoing. So if there are no other questions, then I will hand over the mic back to Kendall. Thank you.
Thank you, Ekow and everyone. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Yeah, there are a lot of parallel projects going on now with high velocity. In case we are curious to have technical discussions or deep dive discussions in a particular area to see for opportunities to contribute, it's like voluntary contributions. What is the best way to go? Say, for example, on the one-touch activation scenario, say on the bare metal, say what kind of firmware sits and what is the way to download the operating system? Is it put up on a thumb drive, or is it downloaded from some cloud location or something like that? And then subsequently, after the platform software is put up, how the network functions are instantiated. And so all that, it's involved procedure, right? So if we want to have deep dive discussions, what is the best place to go in and participate? So that's one question I have.
Right. So I think the way that the program is being set up right now, I would say the best place to start is the dev channel on Slack. Once you have a problem and you need some support, I think dropping a note on that channel would be a good way to get people's attention. And once there is once I guess there is interest, then that team can get into a smaller group, and then we can start providing some kind of more streamlined way of dealing with that specific problem. Aside from that, as you continue to work with the product, getting to know people, there are lots of people that specialize in different areas of the stack. And as you get to know them, you're empowered to reach out directly to them to get their feedback and ideas for some of the specific problems you have.
Got it, Ekow. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Kendall, thank you.
Thank you. So that's the last thing we had on the agenda. Is there anything else that people would like to bring up and discuss? All right, then we will end the meeting early. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.